The reports coming out of Kwara State have sparked strong conversations across Nigeria and beyond. According to circulating accounts, a group of armed Fulani militias met heavy resistance from local hunters, who not only defended their communities but allegedly captured scores of the attackers. The part that has caught the attention of many people is the claim that traditional Juju power was used by the hunters in the operation. This story has spread widely, with videos, posts, and eyewitness narratives drawing both praise and skepticism. If you are following this update, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because this is the kind of detailed real-time news you will continue to get here. The atmosphere in affected communities has been tense for weeks. Villagers had complained of constant attacks, kidnappings, and threats to their livelihoods. Farmers abandoned their farmlands, traders closed shops earlier than usual, and families lived in fear of sudden night raids. It was under this tension that the hunters decided to act. These men, known for their knowledge of the forests, their courage, and their long-standing role as community defenders, mobilized themselves in unity. Equipped with locally made weapons, bush knowledge, and strong traditional beliefs, they confronted the attackers. The reports suggest that the operation was successful and the hunters subdued the armed men. Now, the detail of Juju is where opinions begin to divide. For many rural communities, belief in traditional protection is not a small matter. It is deeply rooted in culture and history. Hunters often perform rituals before going into dangerous missions, believing that charms and incantations shield them from bullets or give them extraordinary strength. For outsiders, this may sound like folklore, but for the communities it is real and it provides courage. And courage in the face of danger is often the difference between victory and defeat. Please remember to like this video and subscribe so that more people can hear this important discussion. What has made this story even more striking is the way people across Nigeria are reacting. Some are celebrating the hunters, calling them heroes, and insisting that the government should officially recognize them as partners in security. Others are more cautious, warning that taking the law into their own hands can lead to serious problems if suspects are not handed over to official authorities. And then there are those raising the alarm about language. Using the phrase Fulani Militias paints the entire conflict in ethnic colors. It risks stoking divisions, especially in a country already struggling with ethnic sensitivities. The truth is that while some attackers may indeed be of Fulani origin, others may be ordinary criminals, and generalizing creates more tension. If you are still with me on this report, kindly like this video right now and subscribe, because the conversation is only beginning. Let's consider what this means for ordinary villagers. When an attack happens, the first consequence is displacement. Families run into the bush or neighboring towns, often with nothing in their hands. Mothers carry children, elders are left behind, and homes are abandoned. Fear becomes a daily companion. Food production is affected as farmers cannot access their fields. Markets collapse. Children lose the rhythm of schooling. In many cases, what insecurity steals from people is not only their safety, but also their hope. And that is why, when the hunter struck back, the mood turned into jubilation. Villagers danced, shouted, and celebrated. For them, it was not just about capturing attackers. It was about recovering a sense of dignity. However, this is where we need balance. Hunters and vigilantes cannot replace the state. Their bravery is important, but they must operate in coordination with the police and military. Captured suspects must be handed over for proper investigation, not tried or punished locally. Jungle justice may feel satisfying in the moment, but it creates endless cycles of revenge. For peace to last, there has to be law, there has to be order, and there has to be justice. Now, let us widen the lens a little. This is not only about Kwara. Across Nigeria, we have seen the same patterns. In Zamfara, Katsina, Benue, Plateau, Niger, and even some parts of the southwest, local hunters and vigilantes have risen to confront armed groups. Sometimes they succeed in stopping attacks. Sometimes they suffer heavy losses. But the underlying issue remains the same. Insecurity has pushed people to defend themselves when the state seems absent. This is both a testimony to community resilience and a warning sign of state weakness. If you are following carefully, I urge you again to like this video and subscribe because we are digging deep into truths that affect us all. The question that arises is this: should the government integrate local hunters officially into community policing structures? On one hand, they have unmatched knowledge of the terrain. On the other, they may lack discipline, and without accountability, their operations can lead to abuses. This balance is what Nigeria needs to get right. Proper training, coordination, and oversight could turn these hunters into effective partners rather than unregulated vigilantes. Let us not forget the humanitarian side. Thousands of people in Kwara and surrounding states are displaced. Where do they sleep at night? What do they eat? Who provides care for children and the elderly? These are not questions that Juju or bravery alone can solve. They require relief materials, medical support, and government attention. It is one thing to capture attackers, but it is another to rebuild lives. This is why, while the community celebrates, policymakers must focus on sustainable solutions. The broader danger lies in the narrative. The story of Fulani militias defeated by hunters using Juju sounds powerful, but it can also inflame ethnic hostility. If people begin to treat every Fulani person as a potential attacker, it will divide communities further. Nigeria has already witnessed how stereotypes and labels can fuel violence. That is why careful reporting, calm dialogue, and verified information are necessary. We should focus on criminals, not entire ethnic groups. Please like this video and subscribe because spreading accurate, responsible information is part of the solution. As we bring this gist together, let me ask you as the audience, if your own village faced repeated attacks, would you rely on hunters and their traditional charms, or would you wait for government security? Do you believe traditional protection actually works, or is it more about courage and morale? Your answers matter because they reflect the choices ordinary Nigerians must make every day. Drop your opinions in the comments, and I will feature the most thoughtful ones in the next video. For now, what we know is this: hunters in Kwara stood the ground, communities are rejoicing, and questions remain about what comes next. Will security agencies step in properly to consolidate the victory? Will the captured men face justice through the courts? Will the government provide relief to displaced villagers? Or will the cycle of attack and counterattack continue? These are the questions hanging in the air. What is happening in Kwara with these hunters is not an isolated story. Across Nigeria's history, community hunters have always played crucial roles in defending people when danger strikes. If you go back decades before modern police and military became widespread, it was the hunters and age-grade groups that kept villages safe. They tracked strangers in the forest, they protected farmers on their way to farms, and they were the first to notice when raiders approached. That tradition never really disappeared, and today we see it rising again, especially because of insecurity. In the Middle Belt, for example, the Tiv, the Idoma, and several other groups have long had strong hunter traditions. In the Southwest, the Yoruba hunters, especially those tied to traditional institutions, have been called upon several times to confront banditry. And in the North, we cannot forget the Civilian Joint Task Force in Borno, who rose up when Boko Haram was ravaging communities. These groups often mix local knowledge, bravery, and sometimes spiritual practices. That is why, when the Kwara story speaks of Juju being used, it is not so surprising. It follows the same pattern of communities leaning on both physical and spiritual tools for protection. Please, if you are finding this perspective useful, don't forget to like this video right now and subscribe because these are the deeper angles you hardly hear in mainstream headlines. Now let us break down the belief in Juju a little more, not in a mocking way, but in a serious, respectful weight. For many hunters, Juju is not superstition, but a code of courage. It can involve wearing charms made of animal skins, special herbs, or blessed objects given by elders. Before going to battle, hunters may perform rituals, recite incantations, or pour libations. All of this builds mental strength and unity. Whether or not these charms truly make bullets bounce off the body, the belief gives men the confidence to run toward danger rather than away from it. In psychology, we know confidence can be half the battle. And in community life, that confidence inspires others. So while outsiders may dismiss it, inside the community, it is taken as fact. The other point that makes this story so significant is how it shows the gap in our security system. Nigeria has a large military, police, and civil defense corps. Yet, time and again, rural communities feel abandoned. When bandits attack, help often comes too late.